Hello and welcome to the Osceola's first edition of First Impressions as we're at the practice field in Tallahassee at Florida State as FSU has just wrapped up their first practice of the fall 2024 camp. And Jerry, obviously an exciting time to be out here, a team that has a lot of expectations coming into this season, regarded as one of the leaders of the ACC to make it to the championship game along with Clemson, NC State, and some others. What was your impression of the first day?
It's exciting to be out here, first of all.
Yeah.
We both love being here.
Yeah.
And I thought the defense had kind of got the better of it today, as you would expect. Right?
Yeah, and going back to when we were covering Florida State with the Osceola one, it was a paper edition, and Coach Bowden used to say something's wrong as the defense is not ahead of the offense going into the fall. The timing, they have to rework the timing out on offense. We saw a little bit of that in one-on-ones where the defense got the better of the offense in one-on-ones. Then we saw the quarterbacks have a little bit better showing in 7-on-7. DJU got warmer as the day went on, as did Brock Glenn. Brock was particularly sharp in 7-on-7. I think everybody noticed that. They asked Mike about that after practice. So as the day went on, the offense seemed to move a little bit better.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely, as you'd expect.
Yeah, and then of course I think what I think we were all excited to see was Jacob Rizzi, the transfer from Harvard, who was our starting right tackle for the Crimson for several years, and we wondered where he was going to play. It looks like he's going to line up at center for FSU, battle for the backup job. We assume that Maurice Smith will be the center, the starting center, but and it looks like it'll be Jacob Rizzi and Chris Otto competing there. We also got our first look at Cam Riley, the Auburn transfer linebacker who initially committed to NC State, then flipped to Florida State this summer. And listen, was impressed with both those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got a chance to see Jacob very much, but certainly a guy that, coming from Harvard, that you thought would be a smart guy, and as you watched him work with the coaches in practice, picking up new techniques that Florida State uses, you could certainly see that. And he was, I thought he had really good feet. Of course, now I want to preface all this by saying this was a shorts practice, and we were all prone to overreaction, but certainly a guy I was impressed with in shorts.
As well. Yeah. And Otto too. Otto looked like he belongs there.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging to have some guys that can give Maurice a blow when he needs it.
Yeah, and I think the important thing there is it allows, probably the offshoot of that, Jerry, is it allows Darius Washington to finally, in his career, focus on one spot. If you can get Jacob or Chris to be the confirmed backup to Maurice, you got Darius over there at left tackle, and obviously Mike has said in the offseason that he thought Darius could have an All-American type year. So listen, we talked about the fact that Florida State could be too deep across the board. We've heard Mike and Alex talk about wanting to be 8 or 9 deep in a rotation offensive line. The first time since they've been here, Jerry, I think they could legitimately be too deep across the board.
I agree, 100%.
And the offshoot of that, you don't have to do a lot of shuffling. And we all talk about the importance of continuity on an offensive line. I think they have a chance to have it. Probably the other guy that I really tried to pay attention to today was Cam Riley, the transfer. Yeah. And listen, we always wondered. He's listed at 6'5". I don't know if he's 6'5" or not. I was worried with not having seen him since he came on his official visit. He was going to be trying to put a round peg into a square hole, but he does look more like inside a linebacker that can play inside or outside than I thought. And I think he's probably the second most athletic linebacker in the group, next to Blake Nicholson. So I think that could be an interesting battle there.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I first saw him, I thought he might be 6'4".
Yep.
And he's not hardly any taller than Nicholson.
Yep.
He's 6'3". So.
But I think that's going to be an interesting battle to watch, and obviously Sean Murphy is going to be a part of that as well. And go ahead, Jim.
The thing is, he can run.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, he watched him running with tight ends, and he definitely is comfortable in space.
Yeah, we saw him stick with a couple of wheel routes out of the backfield, and that's hard to do. I mean, it requires eye discipline as well as athleticism. So it was fun to see that out of Cam, and certainly look forward to seeing him when he gets on pads for the first time. And then, of course, we saw some receivers have a good day. Darion Williamson looked really good. Kyle Morlock. And then, of course, I love football practice. I like it more in pads, but I'm going to tell you what, I would pay to watch Jalen Lucas practice. Yeah. That guy is fun. I don't care whether you're talking about shorts or pads, but just talk about some of the guys that stood out to you on offense.
Yeah, I mean, the guys you mentioned, and I sort of predicted that the veterans from the spring would shine first.
Yep.
And that happened today. Portier, Williamson, Morlock, Hakeem had a good day.
Yeah.
And Lucas, of course.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting fall. You got some battles going on, which is great. They got competitive depth across the board. It looks like in almost every position. We saw some good things out of the defensive backs. I didn't pay attention to the numbers, but they certainly looked like we're fired up about them coming out of spring. I think you got to be just as fired up about them coming into fall.
And in the one-on-one battles, when we saw a lot of that outside. And the defensive backs were allowed to go man press, and they were handsy. Some of those would have been flags, but a lot of balls hit the ground.
They took advantage of no referees today. you got to deal with what you got to work with. But
sometimes you can your first feeling is, boy, too many balls are hitting the ground. But then you start realizing you're not playing against air.
Right.
So I thought the defensive backs had a real good day.
And I think that's a great thing, because in my estimation, one-on-ones has always been an offensive drill. So I think it says a lot about the defensive backs. Well, listen, we are going to go live with Seminole Sidelines at 3 p.m. this afternoon. We'll also do the same thing tomorrow after practice. We'll have a quick first impressions after practice tomorrow, but you can go to the Osceola YouTube page, Osceola Facebook page, or Osceola Twitter page, and we will be live on StreamYard at 3 p.m. It'll have a roundtable of the Osceola staff as we go home, collect our thoughts from today's practice, and sit down and give you guys a more comprehensive look, and have Bob and Kurt and Nick give them a chance to also offer their observations. But thanks for dropping in on First Impressions.